Ahoy!
Welcome to another episode of the Bottom of the Stream Movie Show. My name is Adam.
My name is Nick. Welcome back to the movie show. We're here to trawl the bottom of the Netflix stream in search of hidden gems.
We are indeed. That's what we do. We try and find the best stuff that nobody else is watching on Netflix.
Oh, it's my favourite part of the
Talk
week.
to you about it. Me too. I absolutely love this show. I love doing the wave, but I love recording the movie show.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Definitely.
Me too. This week, we have found a gritty Irish drama called Here Are the Young Men. It is from 2020. It is a 15. It runs for 1 hour and 36 minutes and is currently rated a 4.7 out of 10 on IMDb.
My perception, before you told me that, is that it would have been higher rated on IMDb.
Same. I agree. It seems low, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's one of the lowest we've done this season.
Yeah.
Apart from Buddy Games, I think it's probably the lowest.
Okay. Interesting.
So that is interesting, I thought. I call it a gritty Irish drama. However, there's no Irish people in it. Or not many Irish people.
I think there's one.
Yeah, there's one. One of them who isn't Irish is a guy called Dean-Charles Chapman. He plays Matthew, the main character in this movie. He's English. Most famous for... Well, he's in Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
He was Tommen Baratheon in Game of Thrones.
Oh, sure, yeah.
But he's also in 1917.
He is,
which is
yes.
a big-ass movie from a few years ago. So I think most famous for both of them.
Cool, yeah.
You're going to know him from both of those things, I think. Also stars a guy called Finn Cole, also an Englishman. He plays Joseph Kearney. He's been in quite a few things. He was in Fast and the Furious 9.
Yeah.
Slaughterhouse Rules. Have you seen that?
Yeah, I have seen that.
It's a great film. And most famous, though, probably is in Peaky Blinders. He was
Okay.
one of the younger brothers in Peaky Blinders. And he's got a new show now on Hulu in the States, I think. I believe he's like the main character in that. I don't know what it's
Am I getting old, or do they both look quite similar as well?
Yeah, they're both similar looking boys.
Fine.
I say boys, they're both nearly 30. They're
Really?
They're both, they're not boys. Also, this film stars Anya Taylor-Joy.
Sure does.
She plays a character called Jen. Obviously most famous for The Queen's Gambit.
Sure.
But she's been in loads of stuff. She was in Last Night in Soho.
Of course.
Which was my movie of the year for 2021. I think
nice.
that was the best movie released in 2021.
She's been on the show before.
She has been on the show before. She was in Thoroughbreds.
She was.
Which is not a good movie. She's in The Vavitch.
Yeah. Yeah. Probably what brought her to the dance, the Vavitch.
The Vavitch. And most recently, she's in the Super Mario movie. She plays Princess Peach in the Super Mario movie. Written and directed by a guy called Eoin Macken. And based on a novel, this is.
Oh.
By Rob Doyle. Which is possibly the most Irish name I've ever heard.
Possibly. Yeah.
Here Are the Young Men. Don't go onto Netflix and search for Where Are the Young Men? Because that's what I did, and I could not find this movie for about 15 minutes.
Well, it's because you got distracted.
Because I got distracted. It's usually what I type into Google, not Netflix. And it's not called that, so Netflix wouldn't bring it up for me. It's called Here Are the Young Men. Also, it is leaving Netflix on September the 9th, I believe. Yeah. So you've got a few weeks to watch it yet, but it is about to leave Netflix. I assume it'll turn up somewhere else.
These things usually do.
They do indeed. And it'll probably turn back up on Netflix at some point.
It also usually happens.
Yes. Do you, Nick, have a one-word review of Here Are the Young Men?
Men.
Is that a 2.5 Men reference?
Yeah.
Nice.
Sticking to the brief this week.
I like it. It was a one-word review. I mean,
it's also the second week in a row I've sung the one-word review.
It is.
Which, by the way, is not becoming a gimmick.
I like it. Let's keep it. Where does this movie start, Nick?
There's a young man in church.
There is.
And he does a bit of a voiceover.
Yes. Is that a funeral?
Yes.
And
yes.
Yeah, he's doing a voiceover about how the summer after your last year of school should be the best summer of your life because it's before you become an adult and you don't have to take any responsibility on it. And you should treat it as your last big blowout.
He says this is a real story. This really happened.
Yeah, these things happened. Yeah. That's what he says. And then the film cuts to 2 months earlier. Dublin, June 2003.
2003, yeah.
20 years ago.
Yeah.
And he is having a meeting at school. He's meeting with, I presume, the principal of the school.
Sure. Someone who's responsible for his well-being whilst at school.
He's just about to leave.
Matthew.
Yes, this is Matthew, our main character, Dean-Charles Chapman's character. The teacher is played by somebody who's quite famous. He's been in loads of stuff.
Game of Thrones again.
Game of Thrones again. Yeah, there's quite a few members of the cast of Game of Thrones in this movie. What's his name? you'll know him. He's in The Office as well.
That's old Frey Bentos, isn't it?
I'm going to find his name.
Ralph Innocent.
That's him. They're basically just talking about how the normal, when you're just about to leave school, chat you have with a teacher, take care with your choices.
Yeah,
don't
the teacher's like, you've got
road.
potential.
Yeah.
Don't muck around with them ne'er-do-wells
Yeah.
with which you hang around.
Yeah, you've got a future
That's how
ahead of
teachers
you.
talk.
Make care with your choices, that sort of thing. And all Matthew's interested in doing is leaving because this is his last conversation at school. He's about to walk out the gates forever. And then he does. He leaves the school, throws his uniform in the river.
He does.
Or the canal, whatever it was.
And meets his friend.
He meets up with his friend,
Kearney.
Kearney.
Is that one of the bullies from The Simpsons?
It is one of the bullies from The Simpsons, and it made me laugh a few times during
I really hope that's why they've named the character.
They go back to the church. Well, not back to, because this is before that scene, but they go to the church.
They meet their third friend.
Rez.
Church.
Who is played by an Irishman.
Oh, well, there you go.
That's nice. And while they're in church, they decide they're going to start doing some drugs.
Let's fuck some shit up.
They take oxys, don't they, quite a lot in this movie. They take some pills. And then they head back to school.
They do.
After the school's all shut down and locked up, they break into the school and they start graffitiing up the school.
Yeah, they're spray painting the whiteboard.
Yeah.
They draw a dick.
They drew a dick and some choice words for the teachers and that sort of stuff. And then Kearney picks up a desk and throws it through the window.
Yeah, smashes the window.
Which causes the alarm to go off. So they leave. And this school appears to have an underground car park.
It does. Suddenly goes a bit sore.
Yeah, it does a little bit. They head down
With
into
precisely one car in it.
one car in
which
the
is
underground car park.
Exactly, conveniently, Matthew's teacher.
Yeah.
Oh, presumably was Kearney's teacher, because at this point we learn that Kearney was expelled earlier in the term because he goes to town on this vehicle.
He does. He takes out all of his aggression on this car, and he basically beats the crap out of it with a crowbar.
Yeah.
He batters the windscreen.
He does.
Kicks off the headlights. And they get caught. The teacher comes down. The teacher looks very disappointed at Matthew.
He says to Matthew,
we literally just had this conversation. I told you about making your life choices.
He says, you don't have to make this choice.
Yeah. And Matthew walks over to the car and kicks off the wing mirror.
Yeah.
And we cut into the title card.
They run.
And we cut into the title card over them running.
Why are they never arrested or prosecuted?
Yeah, there's no policeman in this movie at all. I don't know where the police are.
Because it's literally never mentioned again that they've graffitied and destroyed.
They commit a crime in pretty much every scene in this movie.
Yeah.
And never.
And not subtly.
No. The only time they're in a police station is when they're being treated really nicely by a really nice policeman.
Yeah.
So.
Just like.
Yeah.
It stuck out to me.
It's not
a big deal, but
it's unusual, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And they head straight to an end of year party. There's an underground club somewhere that's having an end of year party. And they're basically getting fucked up at this party.
And quickly, this kind of montage of partying basically establishes that Kenny is a psychopath.
Kenny is an
rage
absolute,
issues.
Yeah, he's got big issues. But you get the feeling from Matthew that he does genuinely think that he's a little bit above that. And what this teacher was saying was maybe resonating with him a little bit in these early scenes. Because at one point in this club, he just stands and stares at himself in a mirror for a good while. Yeah. Just kind of, and you can see he's like assessing his life choices and maybe taking on board what the teacher was saying. He almost gets into a fight. Basically, there's just a party montage. There's credits running as well, which is weird.
Yeah.
Just over this party montage. And then I presume the next morning, they meet up with Jen.
At the beach.
On the beach. They're sitting on the beach doing more drugs, more smoking, more pill taking. And she's like a girl they know from school, I think.
Yeah, and Jen and Matthew, I would say, have got a mutual interest.
Yeah.
That they've not yet acted on.
What Kearney says is, Jen wants your dick. That's how he pronounces it. That's how he says it. Matthew decides he's going to go for a walk on his own. And he's, again, looks like he's contemplating life. He stands out on the beach just looking out at the sea.
Yeah, and he talks to Jen for a bit. And she sort of says, well, I'd like to quite like go and do some travelling.
Yeah. Just get out of this town for a bit.
And he's like, this is where he's like Kevin the teenager, I thought. Because Matthew's character suddenly, everywhere's the same. What's the point?
Yeah.
You know,
he's obviously clearly never left this town. He's been brought up in this backwater Irish town.
It's like somewhere. TV's the same everywhere. It's just all this American crap on TV everywhere. You could be anywhere. What's the point going anywhere?
That's exactly what it's like. She then leaves and they do some more drugs. Kearney reveals at this point that he's going to move to America for a few weeks over the summer.
Yeah.
He's going to just
help
leave
his brother
them.
out.
Yeah.
He seems some sort of contractor.
Yeah, and so they're walking down the street. Rez goes off. He goes off somewhere. I don't know where. Does he go to the toilet or something?
Yeah, something like that.
And then this little girl pushes between Matthew and Kearney.
She's
carrying a football. She's running down the street. Looks happy as Larry. Pushes between them. And then off screen, all you hear is a scream and a screech. And turns out this little girl's just been hit by a car.
Yeah.
And the two boys all three of them witness it, but they're not all together at the time. And it fucks them up in a big way. And that's basically what the rest of this movie's about.
They're not the only ones around. It's quite crowded.
It's a busy area. The
area.
girl's
So
mum
lots
comes
of people
running over,
see
screaming.
this happen.
It's quite a harrowing scene.
Yeah.
That you can see in their face that they're devastated by what they've just
All three of
witnessed.
them have very different reactions, which
Very different reactions.
is basically what this movie explores.
Yes, the three different reactions to how they deal with this incident. Then they're in a police station. They're giving their statement to the police about what happened. This is where we find out that the little girl dies.
Yeah, and the policeman, like you said earlier, is very nice. He says,
Yes,
"Look, no one
thanks
should have
for
to
coming in,
witness
lads. I'm
this. Thanks
Devastated
for
that
giving
you had to see that.
statements."
Thanks for giving your statement. And then Matthew goes home. We meet his mother for the first time.
Right, I want some issues here.
You want some issues?
I want to talk about some issues
Okay.
here. So, the character of Matthew's mum.
Yeah.
She's in like 3 scenes.
Yes.
A couple of which are quite important.
Yeah.
Arguably this being one of them. Is she fucked up?
Yeah, I think she's just a mess. It never says she's on drugs or she's
It's
drunk
not good enough.
Or it's not good enough. I think you're right. She's just a bad mum.
I mean, like, what's
She's
this
portrayed
character?
as a bad mother.
You're trying to imply there's something interesting here about this character, either
Yeah.
because she's emotionally distraught. Are you trying to tell me she's on drugs? What is she a drunk? What?
Yeah.
It
doesn't give
what
enough,
trauma
does
has she
it?
gone through? Because she doesn't really listen to Matt. He says, he tells her he's going to take a job that he's been offered.
Going to take this
She
job he's
doesn't
got offered.
react.
It's time to grow up, he says. I think this is hitting him quite hard. And he's realising now it's time for me to move on.
And he says, I saw a girl die today. And she's like,
Yeah, she didn't hear
And
him.
he says, nothing.
Yeah.
I want to know what's the deal here.
Yeah. I think we'll get into this now then. One of my biggest problems with this movie is it is quite shallow. Your main characters on the top are fine, but there's no meat underneath them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like Kearney's dad's the same. It's like,
Yeah. Any supporting character,
they're just
is
shallow
like-
nobodies.
yeah. But surely
Even
you
Rez
can
to an
see
extent
there's
is, it's just-
well, we'll get onto him.
Yeah.
So you can see there's a backstory here. Well, don't give me that if you're not going to.
Yeah. I think it's just bad Irish parenting. It's the what we're getting at.
And notably, the lady that plays Matthew's mum, Susan Lynch, this is her 3rd appearance on this show.
You told me this earlier. I was not aware of this.
Because she was in Hard Times, which was the Viagra comedy movie.
It was.
From a couple of seasons ago. And she was also in A Bad Day for the Cut, which
is another gritty
bad.
Irish drama.
Which she was very good in. She was like lead gangster.
Gangster lady.
Yeah.
But she's in 3 scenes of this
Wasted
movie.
in this movie.
Absolutely. This is mirrored. The scene of Matthew telling his mum is mirrored by Kearney then going home and telling his dad what he's seen.
And his dad at least listens, but he's only as bothered as we've seen Matthew's mum. Because Kearney's dad basically just says, well, it's life.
Yeah. His dad incidentally played by Connolly Phil, who was also in Game of Thrones. He's like, yeah, it happens, shit happens, it's life, get on with it. Not interested in anything. Then we randomly cut to Rez, who's just fucking this random girl that out of nowhere.
Yeah, who again is a character that is forgotten about until about the last 10 minutes.
Never
of this
mentioned
movie.
again.
And we, as far as we know, we never see Rez's parents.
No, we don't. I don't.
So
think.
he's just staring at himself in a mirror while he's boning Julie.
Julie, indeed. And basically what that's showing them is how these 3 guys are starting to deal with this, what they've seen, this horrific incident they've witnessed, and how it's messed up their heads. And then the 3 of them get back together. And they're sitting there, I think it's in Kearney's bedroom.
Yeah.
And they're just discussing
Playing
death
Xbox
and playing
and
Xbox
talking.
and discussing death and how
Rez has basically gone straight into an existential crisis.
he's having he's probably taking it the
He's
worst.
like, what's the
Visibly
point?
the
What's
worst he's taken it.
Yeah, he's withdrawing.
Yeah. I think all 3 of them have taken it badly, but you see it in Rez before you see it in any of the others.
Matthew says he can't stop thinking about it in terms of he's just trying to process it. It's playing over and over in his head.
Yeah. And
go on.
No, you say it.
And Kearney says, well, I found it exhilarating.
Yeah, I thought
He's
it was
oh, it's
incredible.
horrible that it happened.
Yeah.
But I'm buzzing.
Yeah, it was incredible.
But we were there and we...
Yeah, which is a really psychopathic way to see things.
Sure.
And Kenny also at this point reveals that he's leaving.
Oh yeah, he's like
tomorrow.
You know, earlier I said I might be going to
America
with my brother. Yeah, no, right. He's like, oh, I'm going tomorrow.
Going tomorrow.
It's just,
And that none of them went, what?
yeah.
Because if one of my mates said, I'm going to move to America tomorrow, I'd be like, you could have fucking said. But Matthew just kind of lies down on the bed and he's like, and then he goes, Rez leaves because Rez is like, I'm not in the mood to hang out. I don't want to be around you guys.
He's like, see you never.
See you later. He just goes. And then Matthew just gets up, shakes Kearney's hand and says, have a nice time in America, and just walks out the door. As if they're not best mates who do everything together.
Well, so far we've been told they're like total bros.
Yeah, who do everything together.
Blood brothers and all that. And it's like...
And then Kearney just leaves.
It was weird. It was weird, this scene.
This movie's weird. And we'll come to what? There's some very weird scenes coming up that we'll come to.
They all part. Go their separate ways.
Yes, and then for the first time in this movie, Kearney has this vision of being on a TV chat show.
Yeah. So his dad earlier, when he saw his dad, he was watching this TV chat show, Jerry Springer sort of type thing.
Yeah.
And now for the rest of this movie, we have various scenes where people either imagine being on this or...
Imagine watching somebody else
and
on
it's
it.
kind of like a... It's kind every time we cut to this sort of TV studio, it's them sort of self-analysing or being critically sort of having their flaws and looked at by the audience or interviewed by the chat show host. I really disliked every single scene.
Agreed.
They did this gimmick.
It was too weird.
It added nothing to this movie. For
It didn't.
Me. I just wanted it to be every time it happened. I wanted it to be back in the linear story.
It not only didn't add anything, it took stuff away.
Yeah.
It made it seem a bit too. They were trying to be trippy, and make it weird, and it isn't that movie. Like the whole scenes of Kearney being in America is him on this TV show where Matthew sees him in the background of a scene or something.
Oh, I'm having a great time.
Yeah, it's obviously just calls or texts or whatever going through. Yeah, it's really strange. There's some really weird.
This movie's probably trying to say something about the influence of like
TV culture,
TV on young people and stuff, but
it doesn't work.
It didn't land for me. None of these scenes landed.
We cut to Matthew. He's now hanging out with Jen. He goes in for the kiss, and she kisses him back.
Yeah.
Then he tries to take his trousers off, and she's not up for that yet. She's like, no, not yet. And then he asks her to be his girlfriend.
And she agrees.
And she says yes. And then he leaves to go to work. Because I think some time has passed. Whilst Kearney is not in this movie, time's passing quite quickly, I think.
Yeah, there's a few weeks going past.
Yeah. He goes to work. He's got a job in a tyre place, putting tyres on wheels.
Sure.
Him and Jen go off and do some graffiti together.
They do.
Jen's got a job, I presume, singing in a bar, or she's performing in a bar, which is Matthew's gone to watch. And Rez turns up. He's got some pills. And they all take the pills this time. Even Jen, Jen turned down the pills last time.
Yeah, she's like, oh, I've never done it.
Not?
But yeah, they persuade her.
And then a tramp approaches, or a homeless man approaches.
Yeah, they give him some change.
And he asks for some change. They give him some change.
Well,
They're
Jen
nice
does.
guys. Jen gives him some. Matthew's kind to this guy as well. Rez is there. They're all
and the tramp sings Jen a song.
Yes, which Matthew doesn't really like, I don't think. He takes exception. It's all about how much he loves Jen for giving him money.
And we get another montage of clubbing, drinking,
getting fucked
taking
up
drugs.
montage. Yeah.
Rez is clearly spiraling out of control at this point.
Randomly, Matthew gets a tattoo, which again never gets mentioned. That happens
it's because
during this.
Jen draws on him in biro,
and then he gets
it tattooed.
Which is never mentioned again. It's just in this montage. Kearney is on the TV in the background of some of these scenes, trying to get hold of Matthew.
Yeah.
So he's like, he's like shouting from the screen, "Why you're not answering your phone? Why can't I get hold of you?" And then suddenly we see Rez on a bridge or on the edge of this canal / river, and then he's suddenly in the water.
Yeah, he jumps in.
I thought Matthew had dreamt this bit because Matthew
wasn't clear, was it?
It wasn't clear, and he wakes up as soon as Rez hits the water. Matthew wakes up from this dream that he's having, and he's got an email from Kearney. Remember, this film's set in 2003, so that's how we communicated back then, apparently. And he's talking about how good he's having it in America, how good his life is. He's getting all the girls. He's having loads of fun. He's still having.
It's like there's no rules here. You can do anything.
Yeah, and then there's more of this scene of this in this TV studio of him talking.
He's like becoming a star in America, basically, on the TV
on the TV show.
Yeah.
And the TV show ends with him holding a gun to a woman's head.
And it's a woman with blue hair, yeah?
Yes.
That woman. It's Noomi Rapace. Why is she in this?
It's Noomi Rapace?
Yeah. She's in this for like 3 minutes. And
Is
they
it
all,
really?
they all like grope her. And
honestly, I never picked up on that.
Yeah. Who is absolutely racking up appearances on the bottom of the stream.
She is, yeah. I wonder if she's the most now.
She'll be up there with another Scandinavian, Alexander Skarsgård.
Yeah.
We would have to total up.
We should probably do that at some point. Because I bet there's some we've not even noticed.
Why is she in this movie?
I don't know. I didn't know she was. It's really random. You could argue, why is Anya Taylor-Joy taking this role on? Because this is 2020. So this is like after some of her bigger stuff. And she's taking on roles like this. But yeah, Noomi Rapace, that is random.
Yeah. So she's this.
This is like the model on this TV show.
Yeah, and it's again, I suppose it's trying to say how it's foreshadowing, isn't it? How Kearney is awful to women, and
to everybody. Is just a not enough.
As is TV in general,
yes,
especially on this sort of exploitative TV show.
Yeah, and this is happening. But all Matthew's doing is reading an email. So it's either happening in his head or Kearney's head, or it's a way to show us what Kearney's been up to whilst he's been out there. It's never really clear what it is, but he's got a gun to her head anyway. And then Matthew's mum knocks on the door, comes in, and she says, "Oh, I'm glad you're awake. Something's happened to Rez."
Yeah.
And then the next thing we see is Matthew walking through some hospital corridors. And Rez has tried to kill himself. He's jumped off this bridge into the water. He has survived.
He says to Matthew, "Do you know what the worst thing is? You didn't even realise I'd gone."
Yeah. He's like, the first thing he says to him is, "Do you really care?
Yeah.
Do you really care that I tried to kill myself?" Matthew's like, "Well, yeah, of course I do. You're my best mate." And he's not buying any of it. He's like,
and then Rez says, "You'd love it if I died by committing suicide, because you and Kenny, you'd love the drama.
Yeah,
you'd
give you
love
something
being
to chat
associated with having a mate who killed himself.
Yeah.
You'd get off on it."
And Matthew's like, "No, that's ridiculous."
It's absolutely spot on.
But it is absolutely spot on.
I wanted more of Rez in this movie.
Yeah, there's not enough Rez in this movie.
Because, again, I didn't get enough of his story.
Yeah. Again, he's not a fleshed out character.
Yeah.
The only three fleshed out characters are Matthew, Kearney, and Jet.
I always think this movie does a disservice to maybe I'm just playing too broad brushstrokes here, but if you really want to tackle sort of suicide and mental health, why are you only giving that character lip service?
Yeah, that's what I mean about this movie being shallow. They don't go into depth in anything that they try and do. There's sounds weird to say, but there's more darker themes than suicide in this movie, and they just, like you say, they just give it lip service. It's just all surface level.
I don't think it's good enough.
I agree. I completely agree. The scene ends with Rez telling Matthew to piss off, and he does. He just leaves. And then Matthew gets he does like another voiceover scene, which is again out of place in the movie because he does it at the beginning and a little bit at the end, but it's weird in the middle. And it's like he's talking about how they've all reacted to this murder, this death that they've seen, and how they all acted differently. Red tried to kill himself, and then he says, "I'm just glad Kearney isn't here." Yeah, that's how the voiceover ends because he knows that Rez is right, and Kearney would have reacted like that to what Rez was saying.
Sure.
And then in the very, very next scene, as soon as that line comes out of his mouth, "I'm just glad Kearney isn't here," Kearney comes home.
Yeah, you get another quick flash to the TV studio.
Yeah, and
the host, the game show host, the chat show host, basically berating Kearney, saying, "You need to do something with your life. Go and make yourself deserve to be on a show like this. Yeah. Go and do something." And then we see him walk back home.
Yeah, but he doesn't do anything. They just go back to how they were. They get high and play video games.
Yeah. Kearney's completely unbothered about Rez.
Yeah, he actually says, "God, he must feel like a failure. Can't even kill himself properly." Is Kearney the most despicable character we've ever had on this show? Because he's not even got started yet.
I think he's the most evil person. I mean, it's a tough call between him and the guy from the ledge.
Yeah, true.
But that was a caricature of a character.
This is
I would say maybe this is, in a way, this is someone who is mentally unhinged.
Completely. He's a psychopath.
So,
he's unstable.
Yeah.
But nobody's noticed. He's gone through his whole life and nobody's really noticed this guy's a psychopath.
And maybe that's the other issue I have with this. The characterization is why has no one noticed that?
Yeah. And because he's like, they've just left school, so they're playing, 16?
Yeah.
17? Obviously, they're a lot.
So all of a sudden, quite soon, but we're probably halfway-ish through this movie.
Yeah.
Jen suddenly will start to refer to him as like your creepy friend, or like, oh, I've always told you there's something weird about him, but she hasn't.
No, in the
film that we've seen,
she has never said that. She was hanging out with them
up.
In the beach scene at the beginning. She was hanging out with them happily,
and that annoyed me as well.
Yeah,
I was like, just fine, just you make your rules. It's your movie.
Yeah,
so let's plant that seed right at the start.
And they do plant that he's a psycho from the very beginning, but nobody notices.
But don't tell me, don't change your character, of your characters, just when it's helpful for her to notice.
Yeah, agreed.
Because that's a lie.
Yeah,
that hasn't been shown to us that she's been saying that all along, and it just annoyed me.
Agreed. This is the point. This scene is the point where Matthew starts to realise.
Yeah,
because Kenny's always got this like camcorder with him.
Yeah, it's 2003.
It's 2003. Everybody carried a camcorder around. And he finds a video. Kenny goes off somewhere while they're playing video games, and he finds a video on this camcorder of him beating up a tramp.
Yeah, bum fights.
He literally goes up to a tramp in the street, beats the crap out of him. The tramp, incidentally, is the director of the movie.
Yeah,
Eoin, whatever his name was.
And there is also a quick shot of him boning a girl with purple hair.
Yes, who was unconscious.
Yeah.
So when you say boning, we're saying raping.
Yeah, I didn't pick up she was unconscious.
Yeah, she was in a bad. Well, she was definitely in a bad way. Yeah. She was not in a position to give consent. Let's put it that way. And Kearney catches Matthew watching this video.
He's not bothered.
He's not bothered.
He's just like, oh, nosy.
In fact, he actually comes out and says, "Oh, whilst I was in America, guess what I did?
Yeah,
I killed someone." And Matthew says, "What? The guy on the tape?" And he's joking. He doesn't believe him.
Yeah,
because he doesn't at this point know that his mate's a psychopath.
Well, Matt doesn't believe him. Matthew doesn't believe him, and then Ken's like, "Yeah, I'm only joking.
I didn't really." So Matthew leaves. He goes to Jen's house. He's absolutely smashed. He's
they've done more.
They've done more drugs, and he turns up at Jen's house, and he's barely conscious. They try to do the naughty again, but she's not interested because he's too drunk.
And then she cuts him down. She says, "I'm here when you're ready.
Yeah,
don't bring your shit to my house.
Yeah, I will fuck you whenever you want me to." But not when you're like this.
Yeah.
It's basically
don't bring your issues here.
Yeah. And the reason he's not performing as well as he maybe should be is because he's in the background. He can see Kearney on the TV again, doing this TV show that he does, which puts him off. Kearney then goes to visit Rez, and
they're kind of the polar opposites, aren't they? Their reactions from seeing this little girl be run over.
Yeah.
In that Rez has just gone numb and withdrawn, whereas it's made Kearney feel alive.
Yeah,
and
they've taken it completely opposite direction.
Yeah,
Rez actually says when she died, I didn't feel anything, and the reason I tried to kill myself is because I felt ashamed of that.
Yeah,
I didn't have any empathy for her, and that felt bad, so I tried to kill myself. And then Kearney turns to him and says, well, "I could finish you off right now if you want."
Yeah,
that sounds right. I could.
He says, "I'll
grab a pillow. I'll finish you if you want to die. I'll do it right now for you."
And then there's an intense stare.
Yeah.
And then he's like, I'm only joking. Yeah.
He's like, in fact, what you need to do is come to this massive party with me and Matthew tonight.
Yeah, it's going to be a rager.
It's going to be a rager. We're going to go to this party. And Reg is like, I've only just got out of hospital. I don't really want to go. But he talks him into it and they all end up going. Kearney and Matthew are then walking down the street. Matthew doesn't know where they're going. So Kearney's like, come on, follow me. We've got somewhere we need to be.
I want to try something with you.
And he walks past a homeless person on the street again.
It's the same guy.
Same guy that we met earlier on.
Who was singing.
And they wake him up. Kearney kicks him a bit and says, wake up, wake up. And he's like, I want to give you some money. Do you need money? Do you need anything?
What do you need?
He's being friendly to this tramp. And he's like, oh, can't give you any money. I haven't got any money. And he's like, I've got this. And he brings out some packet of white powder, is what we should call it at this point. And he's like, do you want this? But then Kearney gives it to Matthew, then Matthew gives it to the tramp.
Yeah. And Kearney's recording it on
he's still got it on camera. And then when the tramp's like made up with this, he's got some free drugs. He's well happy. So he leaves. And then Kearney tells Matthew, well, you just given him rat poison.
Yeah.
He's going to die.
Well, Matthew said, what was in the bag?
Yeah.
Is it coke?
Was it just sugar? Because he thought it was just pissing him out.
And Kearney's like, yeah, it might be sugar.
Yeah.
Could be drugs.
Might be poison.
Might be a bag full of rat poison.
And Matthew's eyes flicker. He's like, what the fuck are you talking about? And this is the point where he's like really starting to realise how psychopathic Kearney is. But Kearney's then like, nah, don't worry, it was just sugar. You need to chill out. Again, he's gaslighting these guys all the way through this movie is what he's doing. And Matthew's had enough at this point. He walks away. He's like, fuck you. I can't believe you just done that. You made me feel like I just murdered somebody.
What I did like about this movie, in fact, I don't think I really liked any of the characters, but I did, the stylistic choice that I did like is that we are in the dark as well.
Yes.
This guy is a psychopath, is a habitual liar. We don't know what was in there either.
No.
We're not.
And Matthew,
informed.
and that's because Matthew doesn't know.
Yeah.
Matthew has been told that it was sugar, but he's also been told it was rat poison.
Yeah.
And he doesn't know what to believe. As far as he knows, he could have. It's Schrodinger's Trump. He could have just killed that. He could have just killed that tramp, or he could have not. He will never know.
And Kearney says to him, "What do you mean, me? You did it. You gave it to him. It's on camera."
Yeah, gaslighting him again. Yeah. Kearney goes home and punches his dad, just for the fun of it. Because why not?
I've got major issue with this next bit as well.
Which bit's this?
When Matthew's at work.
Matthew's at work. Jen goes to see him at work.
She says, "You're acting like a prick. You're ignoring me. What's up with you?"
Yeah.
He's like, "You're right. You are in a shit job."
Yeah.
She's like giving him some home truth.
Yeah. And then he tells her to fuck off. And she calls him a prick. And then she leaves. And then...
Did this really happen?
I don't know.
Or was it a
genuinely...
A dream, or was it like... He
genuinely
sets work on fire.
He does. He sets the tyres on fire at work. And the little girl who got killed is standing next to him, watching him. And this is, again, something that little girl, that's not a thing that's happening in this movie.
And so if he has burnt down this place of work,
yeah,
this garage, mountain of tyres,
yeah,
quite a big thing.
Yeah.
He's doing it in broad daylight.
Yeah. Why does nobody else work
Nothing happens.
I don't think he did.
You can't have done.
It's
too big a plot hole, surely.
But then it makes the end of the movie a plot hole also, if he didn't.
Yeah.
So...
We'll get to that.
Yeah, we will. He burns the tyre place down. Whether he did or didn't is redundant. The motif in the film is the little girl standing watching him, which doesn't happen in the movie at any other point.
No.
So, and I would have, if she'd have been watching him all the way through,
like on his
watching his reaction, I would have took that.
She's in right at the end. She
is right at the end, but it doesn't happen.
No.
And all the other bad stuff that he does.
No.
And so it just felt stupid. It felt weird. It felt out of place. I didn't like it. Then the film just says August on the screen.
Yeah.
We're just in August now. And it feels like the three of them haven't been together for a very long time. Because they meet up on a bus. Matthew's on a bus and Kearney and Rez come on.
presume they're on the way to the party that Kearney mentioned in a couple of scenes ago.
Yeah, but it felt like some time had passed and they hadn't been together for long. So I don't know. So they toast Rez for surviving his suicide attempt to get some beers out, take some more oxy.
They get to the party.
And they go to a party.
Julie turns up. Remember Julie, who was boning at the start?
Oh, yeah.
And she's like, "Oh, I've only just heard about your suicide attempt."
Yeah, this girl that he was shagging just only just found out. So they do some coke because apparently coke goes really well with oxys and beer. That's what Kearney says. Jenny's also there, but they're getting fucked up. Matthew tries to talk to her. He apologises.
And this is where she's like, "Well, you'd rather be with your creepy mates."
Yeah,
and
he tells her he's not okay, which is the first time
no
he's admitted that he's not okay in the movie. But she says basically what you've just said. You're more interested in hanging out with your creepy mates. But he is genuinely apologising to her, and she does accept it. She does accept it.
And she says, he's like, "Oh, is there any chance we can still be boyfriend and girlfriend?" And she basically says, "There is, but not tonight.
You need to ask me out again."
Yeah,
is what she says. You need to ask me again, but don't do it tonight. So I'm just going to get pissed. Matthew then says to Kearney again, he asks him if it was poison in that little white packet, and he doesn't get an answer again.
No.
"Ask me no questions, I'll tell you no lies," was Kearney's response. Yeah. And he says that tramp was a prick. It doesn't matter if he's dead or not. It doesn't matter. He was a prick.
Yeah, it's like, what's it to you?
Bearing in mind,
no effect on you whatsoever.
Kearney wasn't there in the scene where he sang at Jen.
Yeah.
He was in America. So he'd never met this guy before. He literally woke him up and killed him, potentially. And Matthew doesn't know how to take this. He goes outside. He starts throwing up a little bit because he's like...
done loads of drugs, having a panic attack, whatever combination.
Jen's really drunk.
Yeah,
she's got absolutely slaughtered. So Kearney takes her upstairs. he tells her, well, she calls him Matthew, and he said he doesn't deny the fact that he isn't Matthew.
And everything's got like a hazy filter on it because everyone's spaced out.
Everyone's spaced out and smashed.
Matthew's wandering around the house
He's
looking
trying
for
to
Jen.
find her. And then Matthew's so spaced out that he can see them, Kearney and Jen.
He's sitting on a landing.
And he's kind of, but he can't do anything about it. He can just see them in the distance. And then you just see Kearney shut the door. And then Matthew goes off and throws up in the bathroom. You can't sugarcoat what happens in the next scene.
Yeah, Kearney tries to rape Jen.
Kearney tries to rape Jen. Luckily, Jen wakes up and manages to fight him off before he can.
She tells him to go away, and he
tries to gaslight her a little bit first.
Yeah,
He's like, no, you came on to me, you wanted this, you took me up
Come on,
here.
we can still do it.
Yeah. And she says, look, go away.
And there's a clear pause where he's like deciding whether he's going to
do this or not,
use force or back down, and he does eventually.
He does eventually back down. He doesn't do it. We cut to the next morning. Matthew wakes up in a car park by some bins. Don't know how he's managed to get there. He doesn't know how he's managed to get there.
From this point in the movie, whatever hope I had for deciding I liked any of these characters was gone.
It doesn't treat his characters well from this point onwards. He walks slowly back to the house where the house party
I'm not rooting for anyone by this point.
He walks back to the house where the house party was, and Jen is the only one who's there now, apparently.
I think it was her house.
Oh, was it her house?
Yeah. I think he just walked to
I did not pick up on that at all. Okay, that's fine. I'll take that then. They go up to... Yeah, it must have been because they go up to her room and it was the same room. So, yeah, you're right. And he confronts Jen. He says, I know you fucked Kearney last night. I can't believe you'd do this. I can't believe... And he's screaming at her. I can't believe you'd do this. I can't believe you'd fuck my best mate. And she's like...
He was vile here.
Because he was absolutely vile. And she did not take it either. Because he's like, I saw you in the room with him. And she's like, you saw him trying to rape me.
And you did.
And you did fuck all about it.
What does that say about you?
What does that say about it? And she turns it back on him. And he's like, what the fuck? He's completely thrown off by it.
She says, it's the first time I've needed you and you did nothing.
You were there. If you saw this, then you're as bad as he is because you saw it and didn't do anything about it.
And this is where she's like, I told you what he was like, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, that would have had more impact.
Yeah, if you had.
If we'd have seen.
Yeah.
Because that's not what I've seen in this movie. But, having said that, it's the standout moment for the character of Jen.
Yes, 100%.
And just made me think, I would like more of you in this movie.
Yeah, absolutely. Because Matthew's instant reaction is, I'm going to kill him.
Yeah.
And Jen
she's like, I didn't care what you do to him. Yeah. How does that help me?
She actually says, wrong answer.
Yeah.
You need to be here for me. You don't need to be worrying about him. Yeah, I don't care a shit what you do to him. I needed you to care, but you fucked up, is what she said. And I think Matthew realises at that point, but it's too late by then. The anger is so ingrained in him at this point now that he can't think of anything other than I need to kill my best mate.
And that was probably the best scene in this movie.
Yeah.
And then my next note is I've written a bit of a paragraph on the next bit, which is another sort of TV
scene
section. And above it, I've just done a note and an arrow that says, this was all bad.
Yeah, it was. It was terrible. Basically, Kearney's doing a stand-up comedy set on his TV show.
He's now the host.
Yeah, he's now hosting this TV show.
But he's gradually losing the audience.
Yeah.
And Matt's in the audience.
Matthew's just watching him. He's just glaring at him from the audience.
And then he sort of slowly talks to him one-on-one.
Yeah.
And he's saying, no, she's just a girl. What are you bothered about? We need each other. And then Jen and Kearney are on TV on the set being interviewed. And I'm like, none of this is working for me.
The worst line in the whole movie is Kearney kind of confronts Matthew and he's backing him up the stairs of where the crowd are sitting. And one of the lines he says is, you can't create me and then pause me.
Yeah.
What does that mean? It doesn't mean anything. It's just words. And you can't be pissed off about Jen. She's just a girl. That's what he says. And the crowd go wild because the crowd are back on his side of that. Matthew's then sitting in a room that's on fire with the dead girl with him.
Yeah.
So that's weird as well. And he's watching this scene that you've just mentioned with Jen and Kearney on the TV show together being interviewed. And his mum comes in. He's in this lounge in his house and she's like, what is going on with you?
Like, what's wrong with you?
What is wrong? You've gone very much downhill over the last few weeks. What is going on with you? Matthew says to her, I didn't do anything, but I'm going to fix what I did do, which is, again, a stupid line.
No one talks to each other like that.
No. But he doesn't tell his mum what's going on. And he goes to meet Kearney. They go to this like bit of wasteland.
And Rez.
And Rez is there.
It's the last blowout party of the summer.
Final big blowout of the summer. And they're acting as if they're all great mates. Matthew says he wants to talk to Kearney about Jen.
So Kearney just changes the subject.
Yeah, he says,
remember
no, you
when
don't.
you murdered that tramp?
You don't want to talk about Jen. You want to talk about that junkie you killed, is what he says. They argue a lot. They get to the point where they're fighting almost, aren't they? They're like rolling around.
Kearney's like, I didn't think you had it in you.
Yeah.
You are a man.
Yeah.
And I love you. I can't do it. And
they get locked in this like it's almost like a phone box.
Yes.
In this club where they are. And Matthew downright says to him, I can't believe you tried to rape Jen. And Kearney says, she's a fucking liar. She was coming up to me. I didn't do anything like that. You know me. I don't do that. Gaslighting him again. You're my best mate. I'd never do that. Blah, 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 blah. Tells him he loves him. Matthew returns that. He says, yeah, I love you too. And they go out and have a dance. And then Matthew goes off and buys
They've left Rez again.
Yeah, completely. He's on his own.
Which I thought, again, I think there was so much more to go in the relationship between the three of them rather than just Matthew and Kearney.
If you're only going to have this relationship with two of them, why have you even got a third character there?
Yeah.
Felt redundant. Matthew goes off to buy some drugs. He buys some more white powder, whatever it is. And pills. And he spikes Kearney's drink. He mixes it all together and pours it into Kearney's beer. And then all three of them down their beers with an Oxy again. Yeah. And Matthew, from this point on now, just stands and watches Kearney for the rest of the night. And he's in a bad way. He's obviously going rapidly downhill drugs-wise. He leaves the dance floor.
Stumbles around.
Matthew's just stalking around.
He was going for ages, stumbling back through
into
the club
girls and kissing girls out of nowhere. And Matthew's just stalking him from behind, just following him outside. And he eventually goes outside and he climbs up onto this like scaffolding platform. I don't know. And
with a bonfire underneath.
Yeah, this is where I think this was the metaphor of the burning fire tire factory. I don't know. There was no fire there. I don't think, but there might have been. It was. I don't know. It felt like the fire was metaphorical.
And I will,
because there was people there clubbing.
Yeah, I will again point out. So these two are not on their own. They've climbed up some sort of structure type thing.
Yeah, they're not that high up.
No. But you can see people.
Yeah,
they walk. There's like people with them things you see on Thai beaches, tennis balls on chains, and fight. And people dancing and glow sticks. So
but the whole place is on fire, and I think
there is a fire. I don't know if the place is on fire.
There's a lot of fire.
My point is more. There's loads of witnesses to what's about to happen.
Yes. Yeah, it was really strange. And I don't know if the fire was like symbolising the rage or something. I don't know.
There may or may not have been a fire.
There may not have been a fire. He follows them outside. They follows them up this structure. And Kearney kind of turns to him. And I think he realises what's happened at this point. Because
he realises he's been done over.
He says to him, you're never going to forget this moment.
Yeah.
And then he says, we're best mates or something. Yeah. And then Matthew pushes him off.
Matthew says, I hate you.
I hate you. I fucking hate you. And he pushes him off this structure. Potentially into some fire.
Or
potentially
just onto the ground.
Who knows?
He murders his friend.
Murders his best friend, yeah.
Again, there's people all around.
Yeah, there's people everywhere.
But as
it's also possible that he just fell off this structure because he was pissed on drugs.
He pushed it. We saw
him push him, but was that in his head? Who knows?
But
was it on this imaginary TV show? Who knows?
There is no consequences for anything Matthew does.
No.
There's consequences in his own head, but there are no real life. No. As in, there's no police. There's no witness. No one screams. You know.
Yeah, it's weird. Then Matthew's on this TV show that's being hosted by this guy again. And this guy says, how do you feel after you've just killed your best friend? And Matthew doesn't answer. And then all the crowd and this host start chanting guilty at him.
He may not have even pushed him. It may have just overdosed.
Yeah,
and that is off camera. But I didn't like...
I don't think he did push him. I think in his head he wanted to, but I don't think he did.
Yeah,
but
and that
we saw him do it.
The push was an allegory from just watching him OD.
Yes.
But
that's how I understood.
Would that not have been a better scene, just more powerful, if he just stood over him while the guy was?
Maybe.
I didn't like the stylistic choice.
No.
it didn't work for me.
I agree. We'll get to it at the end, but I agree. The crowd and the host start chanting guilty at Matthew, and they say, "We will judge you." And then we cut to him and Jen sitting on the beach again. And Jen says to him...
The fact that she's even talking to this guy again.
Yeah, after he just threatened to kill this guy who's now dead.
Yeah. No one's seen him.
No one's seen it. And, yeah, it's bizarre. And she says, "What happened?" And Matthew says, "I don't know."
That's all you're getting.
That's all you're getting. He says, "I'm sorry for everything." And he asks if she's okay. Which is the first time anybody's asked if she's okay.
I'm going travelling.
She's fine. She's going travelling. I need to not be here, is what she says. And then we cut back to the funeral from the start of the film. And Matthew's outside. The teacher guy comes up. He shakes his hand. Says again about making sure you make the right life choices. Does his mother come over and apologise to him? I think she does. Somebody does.
Rez and Julie turn up.
Rez and Julie turn up as well. They're fine. Then everybody makes their way into the church. And Matthew starts doing his voiceover again, and it's all about you're defined by the choices you make in life.
And he turns to the camera.
Yeah, don't. And he
again,
says,
"Not happened through this movie.
That summer changed everything, but I know what happened, and I know what was the right thing to do." And then he turns to the camera, and he doesn't go into the church.
It almost winks.
And he almost winks. I thought he was going to, and then the film ends. Thoughts?
I didn't like it.
No, I didn't.
I
tried
didn't
to be.
know if I was being harsh because I didn't really want to watch. I wasn't in the mood to watch it. Do you know? I was like, I just wasn't in the mood for it.
Yeah.
Before I started it, and then so maybe that leads to why I'm a bit negative on it. But I'd like to think not.
I don't think so because adversely to that,
I didn't like it.
I was quite looking forward to watching it.
Yeah.
And I was like, I've got a good feeling about this film. And it's so superficial. It's just surface level. There's no.
I was actually offended by the sort of the lip service they gave to.
There's some big themes there.
The suicide, the mental health stuff. I thought
the rapes.
This does more harm than good.
Yeah, I agree. I think
like give me if you got a character with those issues, and then you're going, oh yeah, we put the joke, not the joke. The thing is, he's pushed to the side, and then it happens again later in the movie.
Yeah.
I just thought, no, I thought I had a big issue with that.
I agree. I mean, we don't know. We know Kearney was a psychopath, but none of his stories got finished off. We don't know if he killed these people in America. We don't know if he raped this girl in America. We think he might have done. We don't know if he killed this tramp in the UK. And then he just gets killed.
He's just a psychopath with no redeeming features. I didn't care. That character is nowhere near as interesting as this movie thinks it is.
No, I agreed. I think you could say that for all of them.
Yeah.
I think acting-wise, they're all fine. The performances are fine. Yeah. Dean-Charles Chapman is the standout. I think he's really good in it. But the writing and the directing is appalling. Those TV scenes and all that, like, ooh, am I trying to be? It's like Bronson, isn't it? Am I trying to be that sort of movie and failing miserably at it and not writing anything in depth, like you say, giving just lip service to themes like suicide and rape? It's offensive.
Yeah,
and I was like, it finished, and I was like, that's dark, but it's not dark like it thinks it's dark. It's dark because it's not doing the right thing.
I thought I almost, whether this was intentional or not, I almost felt like they were trying to glorify Kearney's, like, you know, he's like a teenage version of Begbie from Trainspotting sort of thing. I was like, nah.
The audience can see this character as a psychopath from the first minute of the movie when he's smashing that car up. But the characters don't see it until about halfway through. And that's weird. And
then they suddenly say, we've been telling you this all the way through.
Which they haven't.
They've been telling each other all the way through, and they haven't.
Which they haven't.
And then I just thought that end sequence where, look, I suppose it doesn't really matter if he really pushed him, if he went into a fire or the ground, or if actually he was just watching him OD. But why do we have to make it so complicated?
Yeah.
Because it really nullified the emotion out of it for me.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd kind of tuned out on the characters before that, but I just found, again, I was annoyed at the way that they portrayed this.
The Kearney death scene.
The end of Kearney.
The Kearney death scene is bad. It's really bad. It didn't need to happen the way it happened. You could have just had him die of an overdose and Matthew just watching her not doing anything. That's more effective.
Yeah.
Then they didn't even need the big confrontation at the end where it's like, you're never going to forget this moment of killing somebody because I've done it before, blah, blah, blah.
I think even if you have that character sort of crying out for help at the end and, you know, there you've got more
and nobody
drama
comes, Matthew just stands and leaves or something. Potentially pushing him into a potential fire is silly. Yeah, it was weird. I don't know. There's just something about it that just doesn't really sit.
I didn't like it.
I didn't like it.
It annoyed me. I don't. None of what it was trying to set out registered with me.
No, I agree. I completely agree, and it's a real shame because
Do you want to tackle these issues or not?
Yeah, those stories need telling. Yeah, you need to be able to tackle these issues, but if you're going to do it, you really have to respect the issues that you're tackling. And I don't think it did. I genuinely don't. I don't know if the novel does.
I was just going to say the same thing. I'd like to believe, you know, on a format like a novel, you can really get into that, and I'd be interested to see what this is an adaptation of compared to the source material.
I'm sure those TV show scenes don't happen in the novel. I'm sure that's a directorial choice.
I don't know.
I'm positive it is, because it's a terrible choice as well. It's awful.
Yeah, there's some decent performances, I think.
Yeah, I think all the four main cast members are all great in it.
But every single character is underserved in this.
Yeah. Apart
from Kenny and Matthew.
Yeah.
You know, like I said about Matthew's mother, what's going on there?
Yeah.
What's their relationship like? She's in 3 scenes and she's always crying or
but we don't never find out why.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Give us why are you doing that?
Agreed.
What's happening here?
Yeah.
Because that would help flesh out his character as well, and I might feel a bit more for him.
Yeah.
If I know about what's going on at home.
None of the characters are fleshed out enough, and none of the storylines are fleshed out enough, and it just feels superficial and shallow.
It is superficial. That is a good word.
It does. It's just surface level. We're trying to make a gritty drama. Trying to make a gritty Irish drama with no Irish people in it. Bizarre. What's the best thing about it? I think it's the performances. I think they're not given a lot to work with, but they're all. I mean,
I think Anya Taylor-Joy is the best thing about this movie.
She's great in it. I think Dean-Charles Chapman's great in it as well. And Finkhole is. They're given Finkhole. That sounds stupid. They're all given nothing to do.
Put it in your.
But what they do, they are given. All 3 of them do it well. I think.
Yeah.
I think that's the best thing. I'm going to ask you what you'd change about it, but there's an awful lot needs changing.
I think we pretty much covered it. I want more depth.
Yeah, agreed. It's as simple as that, isn't it? Write it better, please.
Yeah.
And direct it better. Should we talk stream table?
Yeah, let's do it. This is going to be an interesting conversation. Actually.
Yeah, I think you're right. Currently, there's 9 films in the stream table. This is the 10th movie of season 9. Currently, number 9 is Buddy Games. 8 is Freaks, You're One of Us. 7 is Mercy. 6 is Sweet Girl. 5 is Catty Catty. 4 is Don't Listen. 3 Against the Ice. 2 The Humans. 1 Warriors of Future.
So I'm not sure how much I'm trusting my own judgment on this one.
Okay.
Because of I didn't like it, but I almost feel like I didn't have my mind at its most open when I went in, because I started it quite late last night.
Yeah.
I was like, I've got to watch this. I've run out of time this week.
Yeah.
But my initial reaction from that list is it goes only above Buddy Games.
I'm not going to lie. That's exactly where I had it. And I'm surprised I'm going that low with it, because there's good acting performances in it.
Yeah.
But this season so far has been the season of good acting performances. Every one of those films has got a decent acting performance in. So acting isn't going to save you this season, I don't think. And
I enjoyed all of those other 8 films.
I did as well. And I think it has to go 9th out of 10, which surprises me. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
But this has so far been a quite strong season. There's decent films on that list.
Mm-hmm.
All the way to 9th. There's only Buddy Games that isn't a good film on that list. And
I could see some people liking this. This wasn't for me.
No, it's definitely not for me.
Is it a good film? you make your mind up.
Yeah, exactly.
Not for me.
I think this has to go 9th because it's not as good as Freak Show One of Us.
Yeah.
And it's as simple as that, isn't it?
I think
that's the one it's got to beat, and it doesn't. It beats Buddy Games.
Yeah.
But it doesn't beat the next one up.
Yeah.
There's a huge gap there. There's still a huge gap there. This is a much better film than Buddy Games. But yeah, that was where I was going to say as well.
Fine.
So
Sold.
It's as simple as that, isn't it? It's not the difficult conversation we were expecting. I would watch all 8 of those movies before I watch this one again.
Cool.
Simple.
I thought you might be sort of giving me the good performances, blah, blah, blah.
Normally I would. Normally I'd say there's some good acting performances in this, but like I've just said, all of those films have got good acting performances in. It's not going to save you this season.
Done deal.
9th. Right. That just leaves one thing to do.
Yes.
Next week's movie.
Come on, Robin. What have you got?
Robin is not coming.
Oh, okay.
We've had a wild card played. Another one.
The race is hotting up.
The race is hotting up. Our newest Patreon, Smileyton, also known as Alex, has decided to play his Season 9 wild card.
Okay.
All I have to do now is remember the film that he played it with. Bear with me, there it is. He's decided it's his first ever wild card. No, it's his second wild card, but his first one as a Patreon.
Yeah.
He won a wild card last year.
He won a competition last
year.
He did.
He won the Oscars race last year. He's rather bravely, I think, picked a comedy drama.
Okay.
A dramedy, which don't historically sit well on this show.
Well, and I think...
Or with me.
No, but I think, to be fair to you, that is because the sort of level of movie we tend to talk about, being bottom of the stream, is that we see a lot of action, we see a lot of horror, bit of drama, comedy, lying at the bottom of the stream, not so much.
No.
So,
and the ones that do are usually bad. We've seen some bad comedies on this show. And not many good ones. However, he's kind of pulled it back because it's also a time-jumping dramedy.
Oh, he's appealing to your...
He's appealing to...
Time slip.
He is, indeed. This movie's Italian.
Okay.
He's taken us to Italy. It is called Still Time.
Fine.
It's from 2022. It's from last year. It's a 15 and it runs at 1 hour and 49 minutes. Do you want a synopsis?
Yes, please.
In this time-jumping dramedy, a workaholic who's always in a rush now wants life to slow down when he finds himself leaping ahead a year every few hours.
Oh, interesting.
I thought so. 6.6 out of 10 on IMDb.
It's not bad.
Quite high. Like I said, it's Italian, so I don't think we're going to have known anybody in it. We've done Italian before?
Yes, we did a classic horror story.
Oh, indeed.
A few seasons ago.
Is that the only one? I think it is.
I've named you one more.
What
more do you want?
I don't want anything more from you. I think it is a Netflix original as well.
No, we did Rose Island.
Oh, of course. That was
Italian.
That was only last season. We should have remembered that. I cannot confirm or deny if it's a Netflix original. Maybe it isn't. But yeah, so we're going to go and watch Still Time. And in the meantime, check us out on Instagram, whatever Twitter's called now, and Letterboxd. Our username is @BOTS_podcast. If you want to drop us an email, our email address is bottomofthestream@gmail.com, and our website is bottomofthestream.com. On our website, you will find every episode we've ever recorded, all the stream tables, loads of other cool stuff, and you can even get some merch if you want to buy a Bottom of the Stream
shell suit.
Shell suit? I'd love a Bottom of the Stream shell suit.
I know you would.
I'd wear the hell out of that. After you've done all of that, head over to Patreon, patreon.com/bottomofthestream. On there, for for £5 of your English pounds every month, you will get early access to the movie show episodes. You will get a poster that have started to arrive with the Patreons now.
Brilliant.
So they should have them. Loads of other cool stuff. There's really... Being a Patreon is great. You get a secret room in the Discord where you can go and chat with us. And if you come in on and you will also get a wild card.
Yes.
Which means you can do what Alex has just done and what I did last week and try and win the wild card race. Try and pick us a film that you think is better than Warriors of Future, because that's the one to beat this season by the looks of it. And then when you've done all of that, head over to Discord. The Discord is a wonderful group full of wonderful people who will talk to you about anything. We'll chat about movies, chat about all sorts of cool stuff. And every month we do a watch-along. First Sunday of every month we do a watch-along in the Discord. And it's just a generally great place to be. The Discord link is in the bottom of the show notes.
If you can spare us a few minutes, please consider leaving us a rating and review anywhere you can review and rate podcasts, because it really does help spread the word about our show, which means we can make more friends, get more people in the Discord, get more people listening and finding some of these hidden gems. You can do that anywhere you can review and rate podcasts. That's places like Podbean, Podchaser, Apple Podcasts, Patreon, Spotify. We're on all of those places.
We are indeed.
Come and find us.
Come and find us.
You might get a shell suit.
You might do. Why not? And then when you found us, go and watch Still Time, Alex's wildcard for season 9. And we'll be back on Monday for The Wave and next Thursday for the movie show.
Cheers!
Bye!